Hi, fifth grade. I'm going to continue with our read aloud, The Magician's Elephant. So far in our book, Augustus Duchesne is our main character, and he lives in a place that is called the city of Baltis. We learned that on the first page. He is orphaned and he lives with his guardian Vilna Lutz. And so far, we know what his problem is. He wants to know whether his sister is dead or alive. And he's come across a fortune teller who has told him that she is, but he can only find her through an elephant. He doesn't know where in the world he's going to find an elephant. And at the end of the first chapter, we discover that an elephant has come crashing through the roof of a local opera house, conjured up by a magician who did not know that's what he was doing. The elephant lands on the lap of Madame Lavon, and now we start chapter 2. We're going to be looking at our characters today closer and coming up with some character traits for them and some evidence that shows us that. So here we go, chapter 2. The day after the night that the elephant arrived, Peter was again at the market square. The fortune teller's tent was gone, and Peter had been entrusted with another floret. The old soldier had talked at great length and in excruciating detail about what Peter must purchase with the coin. Bread, for one, and it must be bread that was at least a day old, 2 days old preferably, but 3-day-old bread, if he could find it, would be the best of all. Actually, see if you cannot locate bread with mold growing on it, said Vilna Lutz. Old bread is a most excellent preparation for being a soldier. Soldiers must become accustomed to rock-hard bread that is difficult to chew. It makes for strong teeth, and strong teeth make for a strong heart, and therefore a brave soldier. Yes, I believe it to be true. I know it to be true. How hard bread and strong teeth and a strong heart were connected was a mystery to Peter. But as Vilna Lutz spoke to him that morning, it became increasingly obvious that the old soldier was once again in the grips of a fever, and that not much sense would be gotten from him. You must ask the fishmonger for 2 fish and no more, Vilna Lutz said. Sweat shone on his forehead. His beard was damp. Ask him for the smallest ones. Ask him for the fish that others would turn away. Why, you must ask him for those fish that the other fish are embarrassed to even refer to as fish. Come back with the smallest fish, but do not, I repeat, come back to me empty-handed with the lies of fortune tellers upon your lips. I correct myself to say the lies of fortune tellers is a redundancy. What comes from the mouths of fortune tellers is by definition a lie. And you, Private Duchesne, you must find the smallest possible fish. So Peter stood in the market square in a line at the fishmonger's, thinking of the fortune teller and his sister, and elephants and fevers and exceptionally small fish. He also thought of lies and who told them and who did not, and what it meant to be a soldier, honorable and true. And because of all the thoughts in his head, he was listening with only half an ear to the story that the fishmonger was telling to the woman ahead of him in line. Well, he wasn't much of a magician, and none of them was expecting much, you see. That's the thing. Nothing was expected. The fishmonger wiped his hands on his apron. He hadn't promised them nothing special, and they wasn't expecting it neither. Who expects something special nowadays anyway? Said the woman. Not me. I've worn myself out expecting something special. She pointed at a large fish. Give me one of them mackerels, why don't you? Mackerel it is, said the fishmonger, slinging the creature onto the scale. It was a very large fish. Vilna Lutz would not have approved. Peter surveyed the fishmonger's selection. His stomach growled. He was hungry and he was worried. He could not see anything alarmingly small enough to please the old soldier. "And also give me catfish," said the woman, "3 of them. I want 'em the whiskers longish, don't I? Tastier that way." The fishmonger put 3 catfish on the scale. "In any case," he continued, "they were all sitting there, the nobility, the ladies, the prince, and the princesses, all together in the opera house, expecting nothing much. And what did they get?" "I don't even pretend to know," said the woman. "What fancy people get is most surely a mystery to me." Peter shifted nervously from foot to foot. He wondered what would happen to him if he did not bring home a fish that was sufficiently small. There was no predicting what Vilna Lutz would say or do when he was in the grips of one of his terrible reoccurring fevers. "Well, they wasn't expecting an elephant. That much is for true." "An elephant," said the woman. "An elephant," said Peter. At the sound of the impossible word on his lips of another, he felt a shock travel from the tip of his feet to the top of his head. He stepped backwards. "An elephant," said the fishmonger, "come right through the ceiling of the opera house, landed on top of a noblewoman named Levon." "An elephant?" whispered Peter. "Ha!" said the woman. "Ha! Ha! It most surely couldn't have." "It did," said the fishmonger. "Broke her legs." "La, the humor of it! And don't mind my friend Marcella wash the linens of Madame Levon. Ain't the world as small as it can be?" "Just exactly," said the fishmonger. But please," said Peter, "an elephant? An elephant, you know what you say?" "Yes," said the fishmonger, "I say an elephant." "And she came through the roof? Didn't I just say that too?" "Where is this elephant now, please?" said Peter. "The police have got her," said the fishmonger. "The police?" said Peter. He put his hand up to his hat. He took the hat off and put it back on, and took and put it back on, took it off and put it back on again. "Is the child having some sort of hat-related fit?" said the woman to the fishmonger. "It's just as the fortune teller said," said Peter. "An elephant." "How's that?" said the fishmonger. "Who said it?" "It doesn't matter," said Peter. "Nothing matters except that the elephant has come and what that means." "And what does it mean?" said the fishmonger. "I would surely like to know." "That she lives," said Peter. "That she lives. And ain't that grand?" said the fishmonger. "We are always happy when people live, ain't we?" "Sure, and why not?" said the woman. "But what I want to know is what become of him who started it all. Where's the magician?" "I imprisoned him, said the fishmonger. "Didn't they? Put him in the most terrible cell of all, and thrown away the key." The prison cell to which the magician was confined was small and dark, but there was in the cell one window very high up. At night, the magician lay atop his cloak on his mattress of straw and looked out the window into the darkness of the world. The sky was almost always thick with clouds, but sometimes, if the magician stared long enough, the clouds would grudgingly part and reveal one exceedingly bright star. And I'm going to try to show you that picture from the book. It's kind of hard to see. There's the magician in his cell. "I intended only lilies," the magician said to the star. "That was my intention, a bouquet of lilies." This was not, strictly speaking, the truth. Yes, the magician had intended to conjure lilies, but standing on the stage of the Bliffendorf Opera House before an audience that was indifferent to whatever small diversion he might perform, and was waiting only for him to exit and for the real magic, the music of a virtuoso violinist, to begin, the magician was struck suddenly and quite forcibly with the notion that he had wasted his life. So he performed that night the sleight of hand that would result in lilies, but at the same time he muttered the words of a spell that his magic teacher had entrusted to him long ago. The magician knew that the words were powerful and also, given the circumstances, somewhat ill-advised. But he wanted to perform something spectacular, and he had. That night at the opera house, before the whole world exploded into screams and sirens and accusations, the magician stood next to the enormous beast and gloried in the smell of her. Dried apples, moldy paper, dung. He reached out and placed one hand, on her chest and felt for a moment the solemn beating of her heart. This, he thought, I did this. And when he was commanded later that night by every authority imaginable, the mayor, a duke, a princess, the captain of police, to send the elephant back, to make her go away, to, in essence, disappear her, the magician had dutifully spoken the spell as well as the words themselves backward as the magic required, but nothing happened. The elephant remained absolutely, emphatically, undeniably there, her very presence serving as some indisputable evidence of his powers. He had intended lilies, yes, perhaps, but he had also wanted to perform true magic. He had succeeded, and so no matter what words he may have spoken to the star that occasionally appeared above him, the magician could summon no true regret for what he had done. The star, it should be noted, was not a star at all. It was the planet Venus. Records indicate that it shone particularly bright that year. That's the end of chapter 2.